Thank you for listening to the Content Magazine podcast, Conversations with Silicon Valley's Creatives. I'm Daniel Garcia, your host and the cultivator of Content Magazine, published by SV Creates. Hello, welcome to the Content Magazine podcast. I'm Daniel Garcia, the cultivator of Content Magazine, and we are here in our sofa studio today with Zach Waldren, who is the CEO, founder, leader, head honcho of Tailored by Design LLC, right? You got the
yes,
LLC.
Sir. I got the LLC on the back end.
Yeah. So before we get into all that kind of stuff, I love what you said the other day, and I kind of want to play on that throughout the theme of this when we were hanging out, and you were saying that you are kind of like the Zach of all trades, which is interesting. If I look at kind of like your history of the different experiences that you have done a lot of various kind of things. Mm-hmm. But I want to kind of start with wrestling.
Yeah.
Okay. When because you're reffing or umpiring, what's the term?
Yeah, refereeing.
Refereeing for youth wrestling, or is it
it's so youth as well, but I do a little bit less youth now, but it's high school and college.
Okay, cool. College level.
Yeah, college level. So so I started wrestling when I was in like second grade.
Second grade, really?
Second grade.
Because you have a brother, so the wrestling began.
I have an older brother, and then on top of that, the wrestling began in the household. Yeah. My father was a wrestler.
Oh, okay.
His brothers were wrestlers.
Yeah.
And my mom actually was a stat girl, which is like the person that keeps the stats. And that's funny enough how my mom and my dad connected. So wrestling's been like a core.
They met on the mat.
Yeah, more or less. So that's kind of been a constant thread throughout my life. And started wrestling in second grade. We had moved from Tracy to Livermore, California. My parents were the coaches in the middle school during my time where my brother was in middle school.
Awesome. Okay.
And it was funny. I wrestled as a fourth grader in like the sixth grade class.
Oh, okay.
And then as a fifth grader, I wrestled in the sixth grade class. So by the time I hit sixth grade, I had been wrestling on the middle school team for 3 years.
Dang.
And they're like, when is this kid going to graduate? Like, is he not passing his classes or something like that? But it was, my parents were the coaches and they were kind of above board.
So you were getting a lot of like technique instructions.
Exactly.
Like, but did you have pretty much raw wrestling talent and strength?
Not really. A little bit different. I'm a little bit tall and slender of a build, and I learned over time how to use that to my advantage. Yeah. And then, when you have your older brother who's a pretty good wrestler in his own right, and we're wrestling at the household constantly. Yeah. There was a certain point in time where I would just lose. He was bigger in size, bigger in strength, but he kind of paved the way, and I learned from his mistakes, and I learned from watching him wrestle, and then kind of used that to my advantage, and then wrestled in high school, did fairly well, and went to wrestle at San Francisco State. Was only there really for a year. Got cut due to like Title IX, which was big during that time. And
Title
IX is based off the amount of female athletes and male athletes that is being sponsored by.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so after that, my brother kind of jumped into officiating, and I followed him, and then been officiating now for about 12 to 13 years, kind of as a way to give back to the sport and allows me to compete in my own way. They actually rank officials.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So if you do well, you move up, and you're doing the college level because you've done well in
the high school level, yeah. So
Pop Warner League
exactly. So as you kind of get better, the competition gets more fierce. You got to see. And it's just like anything else, just like any sport, what you put into it's kind of what you get out of it. So I've put about 10, 12 years into it. Wow. And the reason why I couldn't go to the pickup party actually was because I was reffing the state competition meet in Bakersfield.
That's cool. So then is it like if you see other youth sports, even especially like baseball and even soccer, the parents scream. Oh, yeah. Is it that type of kind of, I have to say they did try to get me to wrestle.
Oh, okay.
When I was younger.
Yeah.
But then they realized I have no strength.
No balance, no strength, no.
So I don't have that much knowledge. But is it like, it doesn't seem like it is the type of sport. You would give a point or a takeover and then people, that wasn't is it that kind of thing?
No, it's a very, what's funny about refereeing wrestling is there is kind of this topic called judgment, right? There are certain calls that are based on judgment, not necessarily based on a rule application.
Okay.
Obviously, there's rules applications that you're supposed to stick by,
Sure, yeah.
and you have kind of touch points. But judgment allows for interpretation, and that interpretation leads to disagreement. And I've definitely been scolded / cussed at / yelled at by many parents. It's just kind of the process of any sport. I will say, though, that women's wrestling is like the fastest growing sport right now in high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like it's been interesting to see because wrestling has never really gotten its kind of due in the sports realm because like your options are you go to the Olympics or you go to UFC and you get punched in the face.
Right.
So it's interesting to see now that women's wrestling is like starting to grow and grow and grow, and it's been exponential over the past few years. So
it is interesting. Wrestling, it definitely in junior high and high school and college and the Olympics, it's like it's huge and it's there, but it's not really turned, as far as I know, into like a spectator or professional sport like basketball, football, soccer.
Not in a professional sense. But I will say that everything I've kind of accomplished, personal and professional, comes from the level of dedication you learn through wrestling, right?
Well, that you of course you already did the transition. That's what I was going to ask you, right? Like, what is it? What are some of the lessons you think that you've learned from doing wrestling?
Yeah, dedication. I mean, the majority of sports don't require weight management. But in high school, I mean,
spitting, you're wearing like a bag around you to lose.
That's actually illegal. And
it is?
I gotta say
it wasn't
that.
Back when I was around.
Over time, the sport has evolved and the rules have evolved for the safety of the athletes.
No steroids now. Gosh.
No, but with that, it really is kind of added a level of dedication and really lifestyle. Like what you do is who you are, and I think. That dedication has led to the success that I've had and immersing myself and learning everything I can whenever I'm tackling a new subject. I know you kicked it off with Zach of all trades. And I like to have a diverse lifestyle. I like having different groups of people that I connect with for different reasons. I like having work constantly be interesting because it's a new topic every day, but really immersing myself and digging into that particular subset or that particular topic and immersing myself in it for a period of time is what's really allowed me to be successful, and that full dedication to it. Yeah,
I guess it is. I mean, well, if you're doing any sport, it takes dedication. But I don't think even with basketball, football, soccer, and I guess baseball is considered one of the top ones. You don't need as much dedication. But you do need discipline, and then to move ahead, you definitely have to watch your diet and stuff. But wrestling, right? I mean, when a pound could make you not be able to wrestle that day or whatever. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. So are you a disciplined person? I mean, do you eat like, just you get up at the same time every day, you have chicken and rice only, and you only drink green tea 3 times a week? I mean, it's like, what level of your OCD discipline?
And I try to keep it probably in the business sense now. That's kind of where I use it as an outlet. There's definitely times in my life where I am very strict depending on what the goal is that I'm trying to achieve. So I've definitely done the chicken and rice thing. I'm not always perfect. I don't think anyone is, but it's really about that level of consistency that gets the results. How long can you be consistent at that particular thing?
Totally.
But I've found, as I've gotten older, it's more about being content and being happy with what you have and a constant strive of improvement. But especially when it comes to like the restaurant consulting piece, like I eat out a lot. So for the times when I'm not, I definitely have to be disciplined because I know that those moments as part of my job will come up where it'll lead to tasting 5 cocktails in one sitting, or it'll be tasting a menu or providing feedback or going and trying the local food truck. So for me, I try to keep a discipline when I can, but I also like sharing my skill set and my passion with others. So it leads to moments of reprieve and moments of discipline, and just applying it when those times are appropriate.
So discipline, that's cool. So then, interesting though, I have to just kind of say, as an outside observer, we don't know each other super well, but discipline, and yet I've seen like you've had different kind of career trajectory. I mean, you were at San Francisco State. You were doing marketing. Was it business and marketing?
It was integrated. Yeah, so it was integrated marketing communications.
Integrated marketing communications. And then, so where did you, career-wise, launch from there?
So from San Francisco State, was there for 3 years and then transferred to San Diego State.
Okay.
Was what occurred. And then I went into integrated marketing communications for San Diego State. And then always had a love and passion for music. Am not super musically.
You DJ'd for a little bit.
Yes.
Do you still DJ?
I still do DJ, actually. Yeah. I DJ'd at the opening of one of my clients' speakeasies.
Okay.
So
Right.
I DJ'd there.
Did that start in San Diego then?
So San Diego is kind of where it all kind of came together for me from a hospitality perspective.
Okay, hospitality. Okay.
So what happened was I was DJing. It was a great way to make money. I didn't want to join a fraternity. That really wasn't what was meant for me.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be a social person, so I started DJing and kind of applying my love for music in that realm, and then was DJing 4 to 5 nights a week in San Diego. It was essentially my full-time job.
In the Gaslight District? Or
so it was in the Gaslamp District. It was in PB, which is like Pacific Beach. So I was DJing kind of all over throughout San Diego, and then but a lot of the restaurant scene in San Diego, they started as restaurants, and then they would kind of convert to these quasi nightclubs in a variety of different places. So I started just really digging into some of the concepts that were there from a restaurant perspective and falling in love with that. And
that makes sense.
Was like, hey, I want to apply this to creating cool experiences for people to become a part of. But then I moved back, was DJing here in San Francisco. I think I did 2 or 3 gigs in San Jose back in that time. But now I'll be DJing this Friday at the Kimpton Hotel in San Francisco.
Okay, cool. Right.
And
on. Then on the DJ, what would you say? What's your style? What's your kind of flair?
Yeah. So
what's your unique sound that you bring to
totally.
DJing? I'm curious.
Yeah, totally. So when I first started, electronic dance music was really taking off. So, Swedish House Mafia and Alesso and those guys. So the progressive house movement was really taking off. But I liked mixing a lot of things together. So I was DJing under the DJ moniker What's Up. I was DJ What's Up.
What's up?
Yeah. I wanted to, my brother and I remember we made the first
with
logo.
A Z.
Oh, yeah, with a Z. Exactly, including the initials into it. So I was DJing under What's Up, did that for a period of time. I set a goal that I wanted to DJ in Las Vegas. And then it was like, as soon as I did that, I took a long break from DJing, 5 or 6 years of break from DJing. And just last year,
Were you scheduled to DJ at the Fire Festival?
I was not. I wish I was, because then I could have made my way into the documentary, and that would have been some great PR in a real way. No, but so just kind of have been around people that are in the scene and kind of have taken a step back from it. And as of recently, got offered a gig to do a country music festival, actually. It was a EDM country music mashup festival.
Okay.
Called Blazing Saddles. It was in Sacramento.
That's awesome.
Great name, right?
Yeah.
Michael Hargis is a restaurateur there, and me and him have kind of always been connected, and he was like, hey, I don't, like, country's a new thing to me, and I grew up listening to country music. So I was like, hey, if you need an opener, let me know.
Yeah.
He brought me in. I was playing on equipment that, like, I've never played on, and I threw down a country music set. Yeah. And I had just the greatest time. And I was like, wow, I really miss this. I miss the music. So
cool.
Started DJing. Now I do a couple of places, Revival, which is a rooftop in Sacramento at a Kimpton Hotel.
Oh, cool.
San Francisco Kimpton Hotel. And now I'll be doing...
traveling.
Just a little bit. Not too much. Sacramento's not far. 2 hours. 2 hours.
So that's cool. So then in college, San Diego, focusing on marketing, DJing to make some money. That got you exposed kind of like to the restaurant.
Yes.
And then the hospitality thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so because now you're doing, and then you were doing some video stuff. I mean, that's brought you to San Jose,
yeah,
right?
That's
how did you get from
there to here?
Yeah. Give me the, I'm confused.
Yeah, I'll catch you up to speed. I'll catch you up to speed. And I think
for our listeners at home.
Yeah, and I'll predicate it. I actually, this is an underlying thread, and I think it kind of connects everything. I actually grew up a Disney kid. So I grew up going to Disneyland and stuff. And the thing that fascinated about Disneyland...
It changes the whole perspective.
Oh,
I think we're going to have to cancel them.
Okay. It's been fun, guys. No,
But Disney kid, okay, what do you mean? Like, were you in like musical theater type stuff?
No, I grew up just watching Disney, going to Disneyland often. So,
all right.
One of the things I loved about Disneyland, and I say this to this day, is the trash cans. well, what do you mean the trash cans? It's not Space Mountain. It's not XYZ. It's like, well, no matter where you go in the park, the trash cans are different.
Yeah.
And it's meant to match the environment. Yeah. And when I started doing the restaurants in San Diego and DJing there, the environments that I wanted to be in specifically had that attention to detail, that level of design that was tailored to the experience, which kind of leads to why I named my LLC what it is. I moved back to the Bay Area. I had my family here. I had my first job out of her, which was working for a credit union. Not really relevant, but moved back here and decided, hey, I want to get into hospitality. I was paying off some school loans, and I took a job with a consulting firm in Emeryville, which no longer exists.
Well, Emeryville does, but the consulting firm.
Yeah, the consulting firm does not. Was laid off very quickly, not due to lack of performance, but just like it was a hard time for that industry. And I took a job working for a restaurateur called Adriano Paganini, who had a restaurant group called Back of the House. Okay. And I was really coming in as an intern, helping market their fast casual concepts, which was Super Duper Burger, Uno Dos Tacos, and then at that time we were launching a restaurant called The Bird. Okay. Did that, launched The Bird, worked on a few other restaurants.
Just in that, though, like, were you kind of looking to get into that hospitality thing? You were actually, you went out to do, from like, your first kind of, like, job to get settled coming back.
Of course.
The credit you... But you were thinking like, hey, I want to try to get into
I wanted to own restaurants. And what's funny is...
you wanted to own restaurants. You're thinking, okay.
Yeah.
It's still possible.
Oh, probable.
Yeah, probable. Okay, good.
But with that, I would say I wanted to own restaurants. Yeah. It goes back to like 5th grade. I had a resume. You know how you create your first resume in elementary school? At the top of it, you put an objective. And that objective for me was I wanted to own a snack shack because I was an athlete. There's a snack shack. That's where everyone kind of like socially would go post the game. That was the celebration.
Yeah. Still be a good name for a restaurant.
Zach Snack Shack.
Yeah, right. You thought about that.
Of course I've thought about it. I don't want to put my name in the majority of restaurants I want to open. I want it to be about the environment and the particular cultural cuisine that we're highlighting or the experience of that.
Yeah.
But to get back to that, so started working with that restaurant group, left there, started doing kind of small business consulting, specifically around social media. Okay. And then went and worked for another restaurant group, the Mina Group, with Chef Michael Mina. Yeah. And that's where it kind of like, that was my big kind of, I got the bug. Yeah. They opened 14 restaurants in 12 months while I was there. Dang. And I learned just an incredible amount. But one of the things that I identified, I was the marketing manager, and we were kind of going through a variety of different openings. And at that time, video marketing, like Instagram just started doing video. Totally. And I thought video marketing was like the avenue to make a difference. The problem is because I was dealing with some of the tactical pieces of helping open 14 restaurants in 12 months from a marketing perspective. We didn't have the time. We didn't have the resources. So I left the Mina Group to start a video marketing agency, and that's what landed me in San Jose was my first client, which is SJ Walls. Yeah. So that's kind of how we landed here.
And you got in San Jose. So now you're in San Jose. And you've been here then since 2014?
Yeah, roughly about 2014, 15.
And just to, but you're not just thinking, you're thinking Bay Area. If you're thinking restaurants.
Actually, it wouldn't be 2014, 2015. It would have been later. It would have been about 2018 is roughly the time,
Okay, all right. But you're thinking restaurant. I mean, restaurant business in San Jose is very difficult.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
I mean, it's difficult anywhere.
Yes.
But there's something unique about the difficultness
about the challenges that San Jose faces.
So then I imagine you're looking Bay Area, you're Pleasanton, Livermore area,
right?
Yeah,
grew up in Livermore, California.
There's a lot of winery connections up there.
Yes.
I mean, that would be, I think, a great restaurant.
Livermore's taken off from a hospitality perspective. There's some really great restaurants out there. Range Life does an impeccable job. That was a couple that was working in the San Francisco scene that came out. There was a gentleman who just opened up actually a seafood restaurant out there that was working for a sushi restaurant called Robin. So the scene in Livermore's taken off. But over time, starting with video, I've come to love the opportunity that San Jose presents. Yeah. There is a lot of challenges with the San Jose market. There was back then, there is now. There's been additional challenges. We haven't even touched on COVID yet, but the challenging scene that it presents. But I do think there's opportunity, and I really believe on a mission of vibrancy and on a mission of excitement, it starts at the ground level. It starts with the retail and restaurant experiences people get to enjoy. And being a part of that is kind of become a little bit of my mission at TBD, is to really have a true effect on that ground floor experience.
So you're definitely looking at this whole kind of like tailored by design, what you're doing from multiple kind of like personal experiences, and also, I mean, the Disney mindset, like the user experience and stuff like that. So what for you, you have a couple of clients that you're working with. Each kind of one is hiring you for kind of a different reason, is that?
Yeah, different reason, different experience. And
kind of go through, is there a couple, maybe three that you could say that you're working with right now that's public, not top secret, that you can say like, oh, and this one specifically I'm kind of like flexing this muscle, this one I'm doing this, and this one I'm doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Urban Vibrancy Institute is where we'll kick it off. Okay. That's, I've had a great relationship with the board of directors for a while, and they were having a change in executive director, and that left the ability to execute the block parties and bring vibrancy to San Jose. It aligned with kind of my secret mission of what I was hoping to accomplish. So for that's events management. It also is teaching me new things, working with a variety of different people on kind of the sponsorship piece, which is something I haven't really had a whole bunch of experience with.
So then you're actually helping find the sponsors for these different events, as well as organizing the programming. Is there a band? Are there booths that are selling things? Is there beer, the food?
Totally. It's purely event management. It's like an event management piece with some sponsorship additive kind of nature to it. But it's more around just like bringing vibrancy through event management. So hosting the 6 block parties, talking through the entirety of the program and executing that program, which I got from my time at Creekside Socials and what I've gone from a variety of other things. And then there's kind of the restaurant operations piece, and that was my latest client, S, which is a speakeasy in Santana Row. The restaurant it's connected to is called Suspiro, where I was brought in to help run through some of the extra logistics on how this was going to operate. How is the user going to experience what it's like to go to a speakeasy in a Santana Row, which is an area that historically hasn't had that type of experience, and how does it operate with the restaurant? How does it operate separately from the restaurant? And how do those experiences kind of come together? So that's kind of a restaurant operation consulting piece. And then there's, we'll say, my own events, like talking about the Taco Throwdown, which you and I have kind of touched on, where it's like it's bringing together the holistic view of like restaurant curation, working with some of the restaurants that I love and I think are doing great food programs, some of the food trucks that I see that are coming up, and putting that all into a one-day event, into a food festival that people then can enter into and hopefully present a high level of experience that they would want to do another event or a different type of experience. So
that's cool. So then, that's the thing. That was what I say is like, in some ways when you look at a resume, you see somebody like doing multiple things, you think like, oh, what's up, right? But what you're kind of doing is like you're the Zach of all trades. You're bringing into your kind of consulting organization different specialties that could be used. And right now, is it just you, or do you have someone else that's helping you? I mean, you got somebody.
I have a very small team that I don't talk about very much. Okay, but why? I've great question. I just like to keep them hidden because they're better looking and more well spoken than I am.
Exactly.
No, I think I would say
you might let them go at any minute.
Exactly. You understand how that is. But no, I believe that the value that I provide, or a certain level of confidence I bring to projects, is I'm either going to know how to do this thing because I've done it for somebody else. I'm either going to figure out how to do it and do it to the best of my ability, or I have people that I can call. That have done this before, that I can bring to the table. My network is definitely where my net worth has landed, and that's based off of doing great things and really curating relationships as much as I can. I do have a small team. It is project dependent that I can kind of pull on. But for me, it's a couple things. It's like Swiss Army knives are interesting, right? Because you have all these different tools, but none of them are really good at the one thing that they're designed to do, because it's really meant to be a multi-tool use. I try not to operate that way. I try to operate on what is your need, how can I fulfill that need? But
you're more of a Leatherman than a Swiss Army knife.
But utilizing essentially those other aspects to inform a holistic viewpoint of like, how can I connect with you and understanding your problems to really solve the problem you're looking for. Most of the time when someone calls you and says, I have this problem that I need solved, it's never the direct problem they actually need solved, because usually things are connected.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, how can I use my marketing background to understand that you're wanting this speakeasy to operate a certain way to get a certain particular demographic and clientele, to create a certain experience through my operations background, to have it all connect to holistically solve the actual problem you're looking for, which is I want this business to be successful. So I try to bring the diversity of experiences I have to the table of like, oh, there's a musical component? Okay, well, I used to DJ. I know a variety of DJs in the marketplace. Let me curate what type of music and sound needs to be in this environment to attract the demographic you're looking for. Oh, there's an events piece. How do we launch this speakeasy? Okay, let me hire 1 or 2 people that I know can curate a particular guest list that then fit within what the need is you're looking for with the demographic of the successful business.
That's cool.
And it's just utilizing the different touch points to kind of, it all falls under placemaking. It's like, to me, it's like, what's the sounds, what's the taste, what's the environment, what's the smell to a user experience. But it's utilizing the holistic kind of experiences that I've had to curate to the specific need that you may not be asking me to solve for, but does need to be solved for.
For you, then, what would be what's the driving factor for you in doing this? Is it a love for food, or it's a love for placemaking, but then love for, well, you say what it is, and then I'll ask the question off of that. Tell us about that. You answer it.
That's fair.
What is the driving motivation or principle or idea that kind of has you doing these things?
Yeah, I would say I look at San Jose as my own personal Disneyland.
Okay.
And I want to curate it to the best of my ability to make it an interesting place where community comes together.
Okay.
For me, when you're looking for community coming together, you need 2 things. You need real estate, which is where I've spent some of my career. I have a real estate license. I can lease space to restaurants and retail and execute that piece of it. But it's also restaurants. I find that there's no better way to bring people together than having 20 tacos in a building on, the weekend of Cinco de Mayo for people to go experience food. And I think food has a great way to translate culture, to translate experiences and stories, and having people come into that environment is truthfully where I think San Jose has an ability to differentiate itself as a city, is through the diversity, through the diverse experiences and cultures that we can celebrate here. Yeah,
it's interesting. I mean, I feel like food is the new entertainment in a way, right? I mean, like, I think, back when I was growing up, we went out to eat only on special occasions, once in a while, birthdays, anniversaries, funerals, weddings, whatever, right? We didn't,
absolutely.
Now it just seems like everybody is eating out and doing that kind of stuff. So in that, what's your thought of that? What was, like, if food and restaurants are kind of just entertainment, what's the plus and minus of that?
Yeah, the plus and minus of restaurants being entertainment is hopefully more frequent use, right? Because I would say people go and enjoy their leisure activity in certain ways. And if we look at, when there was we'll say California exodus of people leaving, and everyone was banking it on, it's cheaper real estate out there. Yeah, but it's also, there was more curated experiences, a more diversity of experiences from a hospitality ground plane that were also prevalent in the markets that people left to go to experience.
Are you talking about like going to Portland or Austin or something
exactly,
like that,
or Nashville, right?
Yeah,
it's Nashville, like, real estate cheaper. Well, it's not just that. They have kind of created the cultural experiences.
There's a there to go to.
Yes, exactly. So, like, how do we build that there here in San Jose is kind of the driving factor. Yeah. Going back to your question about, the pluses and minuses of people utilizing food as entertainment, is it has the ability to essentially differentiate itself based off the type of experience you're providing, but it's also, food is a utility at the same time. Right. Food is something like everyone needs nourishment, and where are they finding that nourishment? And so it's like, okay, it's something that's needed. It's part of, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like, if we're getting down to, if we're getting down to the actual piece of it. Yeah, exactly. But it's also like, okay, then how do we incorporate the experience that a guest is having to really differentiate ourselves in the marketplace. Is it great food? Talking about one of my favorite restaurants right now, Good Time Wine Bar, right? It's a natural wine bar, but the food is spectacular.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to that wine bar over the next one because I'm probably going to be hungry, and I want chef Alex to put me together a delicious dish that I've never had before.
Yeah.
And it goes to the exploration of like why I go there versus a different wine bar.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's true. I mean, in some ways it makes it I would just think some of the downfall would be then it's not really necessarily if building community to have food be entertainment. It's kind of like it's just something to do. Do you know? So it kind of like lowers the bar in a way. But then another time also it's kind of like then it does make the opportunity for those standout places to really excel and stuff like that. So
and I think for San Jose to get to kind of the vibrant ground plane that it's looking it to be, we need more standout places than the competitive analysis of other places within the Bay Area. Yeah, exactly. It's like we need to stand out in that area, and through that, hopefully food is a piece of the puzzle that we can bring to the table.
Yeah. So I have another interest question. So I've, scrolled your Instagram and stuff like that. And then you very much honor your mother on Mother's Day a lot. What's kind of like, I mean, that's awesome. It's great. Yeah. But talk about your mom's role in your life then. I mean, yeah.
It's a good question. My mom's taught me a lot about hospitality and more importantly, how to treat people and is a big piece of my life. My family is kind of the safe haven of my life. Yeah. And my mom has taught me a lot of the pieces of who I am that have led me to be a person that I actually enjoy being. Yeah. And I haven't always been a good son. I think everyone has their natural sins. I went through a breakup in my lifetime where it affected me in a real way. And during that time, I was not the son that any mother would deserve, let alone mine, who's been such a stalwart in my life and has been a consistent person to teach me what love is. Yeah. So, I try to honor her as much as I can now. Yeah. Not necessarily to make up for the times where I've been a bad son, but to give her kind of the respect and love she's always deserved.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, I try my best. Every person comes from their background, like where they come from and who they are and the life experiences that they've had. Yeah. And no one likes to talk about kind of the challenging times in their life where they weren't not only the best version of themselves, but where they hurt the people that are closest to them. Yeah, yeah. And hopefully in the ability of talking about that, you can kind of learn more about yourself and make the adjustments to your life as you're supposed to. And my mom, to this day, I'm going to see her later today. Actually, we're grabbing dinner. We'll do. I'm going to see, my family's probably the most important group of people in my life, followed by, starting with God, then family, then friends, and then business. Business is wildly important to me, but I also know the people that are most important to me are the ones that will show up if I had nothing. Yeah. And mom and dad, not to give dad not the street cred that he deserves too, but mom and dad have not only been at the top of that list, but have proven to be at the top of that list. So
it's great to know, to be in a place, right, where you have a safety net, right? Like even if you were to try something and it didn't work out, or the people that are your cheerleaders no matter what.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's like
those are the people that are going to show up to the funeral.
Yeah.
Right? And I do try to operate hopefully in a place where I can have those people that are there that that's where impact is really made. I want to make a large macro impact for the city of San Jose. Yeah. Because I feel I have the skill set and kind of the diversity of experiences to do that. Yeah. But I also want to operate with a certain level of integrity and love and care and connection to those that really, if I were to die today, will remember me the most. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Do you have kind of like a guiding personal life philosophy or focus or anything like that kind of drives you and
totally
you?
Totally. I think you and I have talked about faith a lot, obviously. So obviously utilizing that as the guiding principle, Jesus as the standard and operating that. I also try to give myself a certain level of grace because I'm not perfect. Nobody is. Yeah. But when you think about, somebody watching the TV of your life, seeing every piece of it.
Yeah.
What does that look like? And what are the points and moments that you'd be ashamed of, or where you become we'll say the villain of your own story?
Yeah.
And one of those moments in time where you're proud of yourself. And I try to operate from a level of, okay, am I going to be proud of how I handled this situation as much as I can? So for me, it's definitely trying to be as biblical as possible. I also have a Bible verse on my chest that I kind of remind myself of.
Do you want to share
Absolutely,
that? Is that
yeah.
personal,
No, not at all. Not at all. We've already covered.
Like show your chest.
Oh, like just totally flash the camera.
No, what is it? What does it say?
I have 1 Corinthians 16, 13 through 14, which says, be on your guard, stand firm in the faith, be courageous, be strong, and do all things in love. And those kind of 5 pillars are, be on your guard, be watchful of the moments that are coming in life, because if you're not prepared, you probably are not going to operate in your best self. Stand firm in the faith, understanding that I'm not here to please everybody. I'm here to do the best of my ability, and using faith as my guiding principle. Be courageous, not being afraid to take risks, not be afraid to throw it out there. Be strong is pretty self-explanatory. And then always doing everything predicated by love. Sometimes it leads to tough love. Sometimes it leads to honest love. Sometimes it leads to, and if you talk to the majority of my friends, one of the things they'll tell you that they like and hate about me is I am transparent. You know where I stand. There is no question.
You seem pretty straightforward.
I try to shoot straight because I feel like there's no question about where I'm coming from. You know. There's no, I hate the moments where I'm like, I don't know about that person. Like, did they like it? Are they uncomfortable? And having that direct communication, and it's something I've gotten from my family, and it's something that I also think is just, if you know where someone stands, you can operate based off that information. There's not I'm operating because I think they may or may not feel this way. So it's led to a pretty direct piece of the puzzle of how I communicate, and it's, in business, it's been positive and negative, and in personal relationships, it's been positive and negative. But it's who I am, and those that love me for it, and those that don't, they don't. Yeah, exactly.
So I want to circle back just a little bit. So it was a romantic relationship that went bad, and kind of like
it was an engagement that was called off 10 days before the wedding.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
How long ago was that then?
That would have been 2017. That's how I was able, funny enough, to kind of calculate that I was 2018 because I remember. So I have an event that I kind of remember. But no, it was it's
a growing experience.
One that I'm thankful for now. Wasn't thankful for then.
That's hard.
But it's one of those things that's kind of been everyone has their pillars of moments in their life, and
events,
an engagement called off 10 days before naturally leads itself to being that. But
and you didn't call it off; it was called off on you, did you?
Yeah, it was called off. It wasn't mutual.
No,
and I'm not afraid to say that it was called off on me. And what's funny is everyone asks the natural next question: well, why did you call it off? Did you cheat? Did you lie? Did you do certain things? And it was never predicated on that. I think it was predicated on me not establishing the relationship in a position of like, when you give and give and give and give and give, when you start to take, it lends itself to someone who's used to you giving being ungrateful and also just challenged by, changing in life. And I think that's why relationships that we see today, where someone's been together for 35, 40, 50 years, my parents are, my parents were high school sweethearts still together today. And that's because life changes. The roller coaster of life changes. But having somebody that understands you're a good person and who you are, and when you make mistakes, can go through the grace of forgiveness, and also can have that reciprocated on both ends, leads itself to what a long-term relationship was. And I think I haven't talked to my ex-fiance in a very, very long time, but my guess is it was somebody who was looking for a relationship or a marriage or a wedding, more importantly than the tough pieces of what a relationship requires.
Yeah, that's hard. I mean, in some ways as difficult as that is, of course, it's probably the best, right?
To come up to,
it's very difficult to be in a relationship, right? It's so hard because there is this weird thing of like being in love with who you think the person is, or or what there's like it's so hard
or what they
to be
provide
sober.
to you.
You're right.
Yeah, or
exactly.
or what they provide to
you're in a
you.
relationship because you're trying to get
or the timing
something.
of when it aligns, like
yeah, totally.
Like
Oof.
but the timing of when that person comes into your life and where you're at in a mental headspace in that. And I've been,
that's what I always tell my wife. I always tell her, she gives me her time. She says like, I don't need you, I want you.
And there's a huge difference.
Right. And then so
it's the world's biggest difference.
It's like I had, and same thing. I mean, I had relationships, all kinds of stuff, broken hearts and all that kind of stuff. But until I actually became a follower of Christ, like I wasn't able to look at myself, at truly who I was. And then to get my worth outside of being in some kind of relationship or my work or whatever, to be able to go like, and then I was able to find somebody who, same thing, like, she loves like God before more than me, which is like
totally different than today's dating scene. I'm currently single and I've dated a fair amount, but I'm all for self-love.
Was that like a humble brag? I've dated for no, I'm just kidding.
No. I don't consider that a humble brag. I consider that a.
But he is available.
Yeah.
No.
Currently.
Just like that dynamics of So that's hard. I'm sorry you went through that, but
I'm thankful for it.
You'll be a better prepared for your next relationship.
I'm thankful for it. I've referenced this before, but like there's a country music song, God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers, right? Because you pray for what you want in life, but sometimes what you want in life is not necessarily for you. There's a quote I saw literally yesterday on Instagram. One of the greatest things is like the things you see when scrolling sometimes. And it's like you're praying for a rose, but God's preparing you a garden.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And it's like, there's a piece of that I think at that time I definitely wanted that relationship to work. It didn't. Yeah. And I'm thankful for it now. Yeah. I wasn't thankful for it then. I'm thankful for it now because it's allowed me to become not only a better version of myself, but a more true version of myself because I wasn't finding my worth in the relationship. I'm now finding my worth in myself and my love with God and my relationship with my family and being more predicated on those things.
Yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard being a human.
It's so hard, right? It's
but it's fun.
Yeah.
You look like you're having fun.
I
think in this stage of your life, you look like you're having fun. I mean, like when I've seen you, right? Like
if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.
I guess. I don't know. I'm having fun. David, are we having fun? Thumbs up from behind
double
the camera.
Thumbs way up.
Way up.
That
wasn't that high. I think we woke him up.
That's a Disney. That's actually a Disney movie reference. They'll have to drop in the comments if they know what Disney movie reference that was.
What?
Double Thumbs way up.
Oh, really? That's a. Oh, see, I'm not a Disney guy.
It's probably best.
I mean, I do appreciate it, but to me, it's like, I appreciate it, but to me, it's like it's phony atmosphere. I'm not into like paying $97 for a hamburger, standing in line for 45 minutes for a 3-second.
If it was the best hamburger you've ever had, would you feel more?
No. Because I'll go get, $2 tacos at Jack in the Box because it's utilitarian.
Dude, Jack in the Box tacos.
Those are bad.
So
good. They do affect me.
They're so bad, it's so good.
Yeah,
I'm more of a Taco Bell guy.
Oh, really?
That's one of my hot takes. Taco Bell.
I haven't gone to Taco Bell in a long time, and I tried it the other day. Well, a little while, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't bad." Yeah.
They have probably one of the more creative food departments in the most fast food joints.
Have you been to the Cantina one?
Of course, I've been to the Cantina one. What kind of question is that? Absolutely.
So then, but let's talk real tacos, though.
Yeah, real tacos.
I know you can't be biased in some ways, probably, right?
Yeah, I'm literally hosting a competition.
Right,
yeah.
Yeah, but what did you say? And so you picked certain places because you think that they're worthy to go against each other. Is that the thing?
Yeah, No, it's definitely so Taco Throwdown happening May 4th. There's my humble plug. Tickets on Eventbrite today. No, but yeah, so I curated a list of about 150. I can only fit 20.
Wow.
And not everyone's going to want to participate.
How did you do the research for 150 taco
Well, some
providers?
Of them are also not taco providers, right?
Okay.
Like some of them are Italian restaurants.
That you were going to bring to a taco. You were saying hey, chef.
Put it together.
Okay.
Yeah, put together a taco that connects with your brand, and I think that's the diversity of that is what I think really makes the event interesting. Okay. It's one thing for me to create a bracket of all the different food trucks on Story Road and be like, all right, we're gonna go try all the tacos, which I think if you haven't done, you should do because it's amazing.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of like, man, Relati's Ristorante. if they were to put forward a taco, what would it be? It's an Italian restaurant.
Yeah.
And they're going to find out, and they're going to put it together. And then
I'm torn with that idea.
Yeah, because it's like, do I want a chicken parm taco?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Do I want it? I mean,
But
I know a
maybe
lot
I
of
do.
people who serve me up salsa, and I'm like, this is like Italian.
Well,
like,
there's a
this is not salsa.
there's a challenge on that, right? It's
Yeah.
like touching and hopefully through the diversity of people that are represented at this event, it's like there is a touch on the authentic. There is a touch on the modern and creative.
Sure.
There is a touch on
fusion.
yeah,
All
exactly.
kind of
So
the world wrap burrito.
and there's 2 awards. There's the judge's choice. And
Okay.
I'm being very, very specific on the type of judges that I'm having represent this, who I
Yeah.
think can represent both the authentic and the creative.
Yeah.
And then there's the people's choice, which is
okay.
based off taste, based off
Sure.
the popularity contest of like, this is my favorite taco that I'm throwing down. And
Right.
and I thought that, putting 20 people together to present that is a interesting narrative. And I agree with you. Like, there's a moment for authentic tacos, and then there's a moment for, wait, you put chicken bacon ranch in a quesadilla? I'm so lost. But
Okay, so then you had 150 to start out with, different
150
restaurants.
different
So it's
restaurants and
wasn't-
food trucks.
Okay, and food trucks.
both.
So food vendors of
Yes.
sorts. And then you whittled it down. They didn't have to be Mexican food.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you have it down to 20?
Yeah, so I'm
for the-
I'm finalizing the 20 right now. I have about 15 locked in of people that I think are going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting event, and some of them, it's Cinco de Mayo weekend. That's going to be a challenging weekend for events and for Mexican restaurants. And Mexican restaurants are going to be packed.
Yeah.
So I've tried to curate a list of interesting, like, ones that I go, I actually would like to figure out what that's about, along with the taco purveyors that I think do just, like, they do excellent jobs here. And,
Then let's do that. Let's go
yeah.
that then. Let's go, if you're talking traditional taco,
Yeah.
who's your go-to? It could be just your own. This is your personal choice.
Personal
It doesn't have to
choice.
be
I'm gonna call out Pinto Casino.
Pinto Casino.
Pinto Casino Mexicana, who I actually had at Creekside Socials a fair amount of time. They do they specifically, when you're talking about a taco, we got to talk about the tortilla.
Yeah, totally.
And
It's a big part.
they
From
go
the
back
masa.
to the heritage using, I'm going to totally butcher this word and I apologize in advance, but nixtamalization, which is like an old school technique on how like people actually ground the corn together to make tacos. So I got to call out Pinto as one who I think is doing a good job. And he actually doesn't come from a food background. He comes from a food truck manufacturing background.
Oh, interesting.
His family manufactured food trucks.
And then he got into it.
And
that
he's
way.
like, I want a food truck. So then they made Pinto. And I also really enjoy Las Delegas, which is right outside your door here. I think they do a good job.
Yeah.
Those are some that I
So
would
then
pick.
the Pintos, what was it called? Los
Pinto Casina Mexicana.
Where's that at? Or
It's a food truck.
It's
It's
so I have to
traveling,
like look online
you gotta find them.
it?
Yeah,
Okay, 'cause I wanna try that. Yeah.
They do some interesting pop-ups actually at their warehouse too sometimes. So
Okay.
I don't know if you saw at New Year's Eve they did the Last Supper, and the Last Supper was a pop-up that they did
really?
inside of their warehouse. It was fantastic.
That
It was a
sounds
cool event. Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so that's the tradition. Now go on. Who do you have on the plate at this point?
Yeah.
Of experimental, like bringing.
Yeah.
That's going to be like somebody who does
Question
cotton
mark,
candy,
right?
and now is going to do a taco.
Hopefully not doing cotton candy. I was hopefully smart enough in some of the selections. Sushi Confidential. Sushi
Okay.
Randy's throwing
All right,
together
Randy's
a taco,
gonna- yeah.
and I'm
Okay.
excited to see what that comes. So this is an
Yeah,
event.
cool.
This is an event based off something I've seen in other markets do. This isn't a new idea. It's a taco competition. But the ones that always interest me are like the Hawaiian tacos. Like, what's a Hawaiian taco look like? What is Italian's a far-fetched one, but I'm in conversations. Haven't locked down Relati's, but I'm 99.9% sure they're
Italian
going to be
taco.
there. We'll
It's got
find
tomato.
out. Yeah.
It's got
I don't know what it's going to be, but they're going to put it together. And
It's going to be a cannoli, or I mean, I don't even know.
yeah,
Ravioli-
right?
ravioli, yeah.
Ravioli cannoli taco. We'll see what happens. So,
Yeah.
but
That's
there's a little bit of the taco goer who's going to want to go for the taco. The 2, the restaurant goer who's like, wait, these guys are here.
Yeah.
And
that's
then
fun.
3, there's the there's the food festival piece, right? How many times do you have 20 different restaurants in one building doing a taco throwdown?
Yeah.
So hopefully that plays.
And is it
into
going to
this.
be like a full-on competition? Like they're going to walk up like a old school at a fair when they bring their pies up to the front, and the
Yes.
judges are going to eat them live and all that kind of stuff?
So the judges will be
Yeah.
there. They're going to taste each one of the tacos. That's why also I have to be very careful on what judges I pick, because they're signing up to eat 20 tacos.
Yeah.
They got to taste them all. But I think, I think it's cool to be like, all right, this person's the Judge's Choice Award, and then this is the People's Choice Award.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of a cash prize for that, and I think it's
cool.
going to be a cool event.
And where's it going to be at?
It's going to be at Blanco Urban Venue.
Oh, at Blanco, okay.
In the heart of San Pedro, in the heart of San Jose, parking.
So it'll be using the whole space or just the bottom
whole
inside?
Space.
So
I'm using all three floors, so I think it's going to be a fun event.
Yeah, that's a great venue too. That's cool. What's in your playlist right now? What music are you listening to?
Wow, what a great question. Not one I was expecting, to be honest with you. That and the mom one caught me a little bit off guard, but I like it. No, so right now,
I mean, you are a DJ.
I am a DJ. What's funny is the majority of music I listen to is not stuff I typically play out.
Really?
Yeah.
And why is that? Is that because, I mean, when you're a DJ, this is what I've heard from other people.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking of the crowd,
the
right?
audience.
You're trying to get the crowd to tap their foot, dance, or riot, or whatever you want them to do.
Definitely riot. Yeah. Always a riot. Yeah. Absolutely.
So then, okay, so that's probably, is that why you don't listen to the same stuff that you spin, as the kids say?
Typically, yeah. I try to, there's all these different techniques in DJing, right? There's like scratching, and then there's like, beat matching, which like the whole sync button became this whole giant thing because anyone can DJ. But really, if you're a talented DJ, looking at the crowd and knowing what they want and giving that to them is really what makes the difference between a good
and
DJ
leading them too, right?
Leading them where they want to go.
Yeah.
The build up, the process of the night.
Right.
Like sometimes you do need a moment of reprieve from the raging if the raging is going to continue into the late early morning.
Yeah.
But it's about looking at the crowd, reading the crowd, knowing what to play, when to play it. So sometimes I'll listen to music. I have to be in that particular mindset where I'm listening from a DJ's perspective. Right. And then there's the music I like to listen to from a personal perspective. Yeah. Some personal artists I typically listen to. John Bellion is probably my favorite artist of all time. He's a songwriter for a lot of different people, but he puts out his own music, and I would say he's probably my favorite artist. Okay. Right now I love Noah Kahan, who's kind of having a heyday. He was nominated for a Grammy. He's an incredible songwriter. Eric Church, bringing my country roots into it. Eric Church's early stuff I think is pretty fantastic. But it also calling out my church, Vive Worship. When I'm in a moment of worship, they put out their own music, which I think is pretty spectacular. Yeah. So it just depends on what emotional feeling I want to feel. Yeah, if I want to get jacked up to hit the gym, I'm listening to AC/DC. If I'm wanting to kind of sit in my thoughts and think and process, I'll probably throw in John Bellion. If I'm wanting to dance, like real dance, I'll, look up whatever new disco sound is coming out or whatever, low key house is having its day. So I try, my playlist is, it's eclectic, it's anarchy, it's chaos. Some of it doesn't make sense. You're like, wait, why is, but then when we talk about karaoke, I definitely have my go-tos. That's
right. I saw you in your Instagram doing a karaoke. What song do you pull out? If we were to do karaoke right now, do you have your song that you would pick?
I have two or three.
Okay, what's your top? What's your top?
Everybody, Backstreet Boys.
Backstreet Boys, awesome.
Got to pull out what you know. That's a fun one because I'm more of a showman than I am a great singer.
So you can bring in can you do all the dance moves?
I can't do all the dance moves. I definitely dance. Yeah. I'm definitely.
Did you want to be in a boy band when you were younger?
Absolutely, 100%. I did my hair different to match whatever boy band. Like, right. Some of it's painful to see now.
Yeah, I'd love to see those. We're gonna cue those up.
We'll flash those up.
I'm gonna call up your mom
with the highlights and the whole thing.
Yeah.
No, it's
everybody's got
Everybody by Backstreet Boys. I also, going back to the Disneyland reference, Aladdin, A Whole New World. If I'm doing a duet with somebody,
awesome. You got the chops to pull that one off?
For A Whole New World, it's not that I have the chops. It's that I've had 15 to 20 years being able to match pitch on that song.
Okay, yeah, you got that song.
I got the time more than the fact the actual
Where do you go for karaoke if you're going out? Do you go to
Discovery Fusion Barbecue. So I have a friend of mine through church who introduced me to her friend, and now we've become friends. Her name's Demi. She apparently sang on American Idol, and Discovery Fusion Barbecue has her come and sing at the restaurant. It's every Saturday, but it changes. Yeah. So she'll go sing and basically...
And then open it up to
karaoke. And it's become this weird social stalwart of mine that I really enjoy doing.
I've actually never, ever been to a karaoke bar.
Let alone in a Chinese restaurant.
Well, I've been to Chinese restaurants, but
But karaoke in a Chinese
I've
restaurant.
not done karaoke. My wife, when we were here, my wife has a great voice.
Okay,
and so
awesome.
I always want her to do it, but
Yeah.
like I'd say, let's go.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I would love to. I can't sing to save my life, so
Yeah,
I would
those
never
are the
do it.
fun moments, though, is when you have somebody that you know and you bring them to this karaoke just to kind of hang out, have a couple Sapporos and relax, and then they go up there and they crush it.
Really?
And you're like,
what? I didn't know you could sing. Yeah.
what just happened?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I was in, XYZ, or I sang in the choir,
Right.
or whatever. And you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that about you. And it,
Yeah.
it just adds a certain level of contextual
Yeah.
reference. But
Yeah.
I always, for whatever reason, for better or worse, to the diners at Discovery Fusion Barbecue, have a great time there. And then,
Okay.
so I
Yeah.
really enjoy it.
That's good. Are you a podcast guy while you work? Do you listen to podcasts or anything like that?
I do. I listen to Content Magazine's
Yeah,
podcasts.
you don't say that. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah,
I really
yeah,
do.
yeah.
I not as much.
Yeah, but is there anything that for like a business?
Oh,
do you
great
listen to,
question.
any
yeah.
kind of like those kind that you go to?
Yeah, I listen to How I Built This is one. Also, Full Comp by Josh Kopel is a restaurant podcast I listen to pretty frequently. Content Magazine. I'm not joking when I say that. I really do listen to you guys just to kind of like also uncover, right? Like who's somebody in San Jose I don't know, or the larger Silicon Valley that I don't know, and it's doing interesting things. And
very kind. Thank
how
you.
can we kind of plug
You're
them
an
in?
excellent marketer.
That's where I started. That's where I started.
Then, what business advice would you give to somebody? Because I know you're focused on business and growing businesses.
Totally.
And what would be something that you would say if somebody's listening and they're like, yeah, I really want to get into helping companies or businesses grow or start my own. What would be like one or two little tidbits?
One or two tidbits. First one's have a plan.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
And when you talk about business plans, like most people, I've written a lot of business plans for other restaurateurs.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like you need to have a plan on what you're trying to accomplish, and understanding you're not trying to accomplish everything to everyone.
Right.
There can only be one Cheesecake Factory.
Right. Cool.
Like exactly with
And one's too many.
And one's too many in some instances. But like you can only. Your job is, and then that follows to the second one, be the best at what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Now, if you're trying to do a food truck, be the best food truck. If you're trying to be a Mexican food truck, all right, what makes the best Mexican food truck?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah.
And then just try to execute that to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
A lot of small businesses get stale because they don't try to improve anymore.
Yeah.
They've done their thing. They're happy with it.
Yeah.
It rides out into the sunset.
Yeah.
But it would be have a plan and try to be the best at that plan.
Awesome. Cool. What's a book that you've read lately that you've really enjoyed that kind of affected you?
Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara, who was the general manager of 11 Madison Park and then became the owner of 11 Madison Park, which was voted the #1 restaurant in the world a couple years ago. It covers hospitality, but also what it really covers to me is uncovering areas of opportunities to really differentiate your business and the experience to other people, and it's really by treating them like people.
Yeah.
Understanding like, hey, I'm looking for something specific. He talks about this story about he's at a 3-star Michelin restaurant doing French cuisine, and he overhears somebody talking at a table, and they go, "Oh my gosh, we tried all the food in New York that New York has to offer, except we did not have a New York hot dog." And he sends a food runner to go buy a hot dog, bring it back to the restaurant, prepare it, and then he drops at the table. We heard you didn't get the opportunity to experience a New York City hot dog. That is cool, and that is where you leave a lasting impression on somebody because you looked at them.
It's made.
You
Tailored by
design the experience that they got to have based on the experience that they're wanting.
Yeah.
And that is really kind of the ethos of what I do and try to do for my company, for my clients, and for the city of San Jose as a whole.
Yeah, that's cool. Last thing, your friends and family, people close to you, what's the words that they use to describe you?
Tough question.
And I'm going to call them up and verify. So
good. I'll give you a list. I just won't give you my roommate because that's the person who knows all the secrets. No, I would say they authentic, definitely authentic. Okay. I'm not afraid to wear my heart on my sleeve, and also transparent because people know where I stand. Also heartfelt. I try to be really heartfelt, and that's actually a piece of the puzzle I get from my mom. My mom's one of the best gift givers I know, where she not only gives gifts, it's not a gift card. You're not getting the Starbucks gift card. You're getting the one thing you talked about that one time that like means something. So I try to implement that character of my mom, and it's heartfelt, transparent, and authentic. And then those that know me in business would, I hope they say ethical. I try to operate really to the standard of code, where if I got to watch the movie of Zach Waldren's life back, that I can feel proud about what I put forward.
Cool. Right on. Awesome. Well, thank you for your time. And then why don't you go ahead and plug the full
deal
on the taco.
So
and then your company name, website,
love that.
Instagrams,
all the grams and stuff. So for those that want to find me personally, at Zach.Waldren, pretty self-explanatory. Tailored by Design, we're a placemaking consulting firm that specializes in restaurants and real estate and creating high-quality events. And then the Taco Throwdown happening May 4th at Blanco Urban Venue from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're going to have 20 different restaurants and taco trucks throwing down for what taco is supreme in the city of San Jose.
And to get tickets for that, it is an Eventbrite.
There's an Eventbrite link.
What would we search it as? Taco
Throwdown. Silicon Valley Taco Throwdown.
Silicon Valley
Taco. And you can do TBD Presents, or you can find the link at my website, tbdsanjose.com.
Awesome. Cool. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Zach. I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate it too.
Thanks.
You guys take care.
And we're out. Ooh, there's a good time. Ooh. Thank you for listening to the Content Magazine podcast. Follow us on social media at Content Mag. Become a member and help us to continue to tell the stories of the South Bay creatives. This episode's music is 408 by Jack Pavlina. Follow him on Spotify and also on his Instagram at Jack Pavlina Music.